You're going with me or without me?
I saw exactly what I've always felt about Donnie Weeboy. And I saw that girl can't protect her child.
Margaret, Jimmy's her boy.
He's your grandson.
We're trying to locate a Donnie Weeboy. He married our son's widow. Got our grandson with him.
You let it be known you're looking for a wee boy. I'll find you.
We thought we'd see Jimmy, since we're in the neighborhood.
Since you're in the neighborhood.
Go careful. Where in the hell are we? We came to see our grandson.
My boy doesn't have to answer to you.
And we don't have to answer to you.
Whoa.
Come with us.
No. He'd kill me. Him and his mother.
Aloha. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man. And last night, I finally went ahead and saw a movie at the theater here in Hawaii, on Oahu, over at the Ward Warehouse Consolidated Theater, called Let Him Go. Now, apparently this had been out since the beginning of November. You know, I was a little late to get to the game of going back to the movie theaters again. You know, honestly, I'm a little bit out of practice, and thus, yeah, I've been doing all the Netflix shows, other shows, Apple Plus, Amazon, you name it. Anything but the theaters, since Regal is all shut down. And, you know, still many of the consolidated theaters, the one from my house is not open, but the major one downtown is the Ward Warehouse Consolidated Theater. And, well, without further ado, Let Him Go, starring Kevin Costner, Diane Lane, Leslie Manville, Cale Carter, and Boo Boo Stewart. Remember our rating scale? Shock a thumbs up, it's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's junk, I don't recommend it. And for Let Him Go, it is a shock a thumbs up. Now, you know, this is a period piece set back in the 1950s, about, you know, I'd say mid-1950s, where Kevin Costner and Diane Lane are a married couple, you know, a little elderly. Their son, who has grown up, has gotten married, had a child, and everyone is living on, you know, Kevin Costner and Diane Lane's farm, essentially. Now, they're not, you know, farmers per se, as much as maybe cattle or horsemen. We come to find out that Diane Lane's character used to raise and breed horses, and Kevin Costner's character was a former police officer there in Montana where they live. Not much more is known other than, you know, his son, Kevin Costner, Diane Lane's son, marries this you know, young woman that he likes very much, Cale Carter, and they have a son, and Diane Lane loves her grandson. Unfortunately, one day while horseback riding, their son, you know, falls off the horse. It's really unclear. Falls off. We don't know if it bucked him off. Maybe, you know, the horse lost its footage. You know, it was a little bit of a rocky stream area where we see that the son is is killed, breaks his neck falling off the horse, a la Christopher Reeve style. So, you know, it's not uncommon for that kind of thing to happen. Those familiar with horseback riding, you know, you are on top of a horse about 6 feet in the air, and you just happen to land wrong, unfortunately, and that could be it for you, you know, or simply being paralyzed. So the wife is now widowed. You know, the grandson, they were all living there on the farm. You know, it was kind of clear, you know, there was that Diane Lane didn't really care too much for the wife, outside of the fact that she truly loved her grandson. So I guess, you know, it's unclear about how long had taken place, but, you know, I'll say probably, you know, probably at least a good 2, maybe, I'll say 2 to 3 years since her husband's death. Cale Carter, you know, remarries, finds somebody. You know, and this is the 50s, so, you know, there's still a little bit of a stigma about an unmarried woman, despite being widowed. We find out that she really has no other family other than Kevin Costner and Diane Lane, you know, as her grandparents-in-law. And, you know, without the son there, without her husband, she doesn't feel comfortable there. Diane Lane has not reached out and made her feel, you know, welcome, other than the grandson, which is the link between them. And so maybe, you know, she's in that rush to get married, you know, when somebody, you know, gives her, you know, the possibility of it. It's clear that Diane Lane, even Kevin Costner, don't fully accept this new, you know, her new husband. He's very standoffish. You know, apparently not really all that well-to-do, which isn't a big thing, but apparently definitely struggling. They move into a small apartment in town, off of the farm. You know, apparently he, you know, the new husband doesn't want much to do with, you know, the grandparents of his new wife's son. And, well, just driving through town, Diane Lane's character sees, you know, the couple and the son walking, you know, walking down the street. The son drops his ice cream cone. The father, this new husband, is extremely upset at that and just smacks the kid for what we can tell is no reason. You know, and smacks him in the face. When, you know, his wife attempts to intervene, the mother tries to intervene, she is slapped down, beaten. Diane Lane sees this while driving by, and right away tells her husband, wants to basically, you know, get the grandson to safety, you know, basically take him away and protect him, you know, raise him pretty much, you know, leaving if the, you know, mother wants to stay with this crazy man, then she can, apparently, is from Diane Lane's perspective. There's really nothing pushed, made out to be, you know, how her feelings are. So Kevin Costner and those guys go to Diane Lane, go to confront them, and we find out that they've moved. Their entire area is gone. They have moved out of this apartment without telling where they might have gone. They only know that they have family in South Dakota. And basically that is found through Kevin Costner's police contacts that he's able to, pull from, a general location, what town in North Dakota actually, where, they might be able to find their grandson. And so they trek across the states from Montana up to South Dakota and then finally North Dakota. And they confront, the cousin to take them to, their grandson and Kaylee Carter, under the guise of, they haven't seen each other for so long and they just want to chat. So they are taken way out into the country, away from the city, to what would seem to be some type of farm, a well-to-do house in the middle of nowhere. Basically they are confronted with the fact that, their daughter-in-law and grandson are basically being tortured, abused in this household by the son's mother, the new grandmother, Leslie Manville, and their 4 boys, who are all grown up into adulthood. So Kevin Costner is easily outnumbered. They can't really make a fuss at that time and are basically threatened to leave and not come back. The next day they try to meet Kaylee Carter's character at work to discuss maybe, if they can sneak out, they can take them away back to Montana with them, get out of this situation. And that's where we learn that, I wouldn't be in this situation, she says, if you had maybe shown me a little bit more kindness when I was married to your son, or after, he had died, that I felt still part of the family, still connected to you two. I was left with nothing, cast adrift. What choice did I have but to marry this crazy guy now? It's still something that's even happening today. But even in the 50s, especially in the 50s, the earlier parts of American history, women pretty much did not have all the rights as men did, and were pretty much abused and could be seen as property, and that is what has happened here, all under the guise of, or the control of the new grandmother, Leslie Manville. And so at this point in North Dakota, away from any resources that Kevin Costner and Diane Lane might be able to summon to their aid, where Leslie Manville is obviously a woman of some means in this town of North Dakota, whereas even the police won't touch her. Everyone seems to be afraid of her. There's no way around it that Kevin Costner and Diane Lane have to go to extreme means to save and rescue their grandchild so that he's not killed by these people, or at least raised to become one of them, an abuser as well, and in the interim save their daughter-in-law as well, if only for the memory of their son. And so that's pretty much the plot. I won't go into how it kind of goes from there. It's not, this is still set in the 50s, so it's not as extravagant as maybe Rambo Last Blood, but it definitely goes along the same similar lines as that. As, these two people, Kevin Costner and Diane Lane, are pressed to the point of no return without any other options than to confront these people, these very violent people, this family that is clearly not accustomed to being challenged in any way. And that is where the heart of this story takes place. And that's where you get the explosive action and tension that rises up when, they are confronted. And Kevin Costner and Diane Lane both have to deal with that, being on their own in a different state, without any friends or other family members to come to their assistance. So yes, I gave this movie a shock of thumbs up. In a weird kind of way, after I had started watching it and I realized, hey, this is Kevin Costner and Diane Lane from Man of Steel, that Superman movie, living on a farm, raising a child, a married couple, It would be easy to see or view this in the term of an alternate Superman story where maybe the Kents, Martha Kent and John Kent, didn't have a problem raising a son of their own and having a son of their own, and then, and thus never meeting Superman, Kal-El out there on the road. And thus their natural son marries someone, has a son of their own, and life goes on in that aspect, but he is killed tragically, and their grandson and daughter-in-law fall into a poor situation, such as being abused by their new husband and their new family on that side of the new husband. So it's kind of, it's, if you want to kind of click it around in your mind like that, because essentially you do have Diane Lane and Kevin Costner, living on a farm, kind of being who they were from Man of Steel. I don't know if any of those two had any inkling. It's like, hey, when they were accepting these roles or doing these roles, it's like, hey, we're kind of doing the same roles that we did, for Superman. But it definitely hit me. And if you, enjoyed or saw Man of Steel, you might actually, find a little bit more enrichment in this story, kind of, because they don't really fill in too much more into the background of these characters. It's very easy for you to just layer that on for yourself and enrich the story yourself in that manner. It's very, very interesting if you want to take it from that perspective, that, these are the Kents, but an alternate version of the Kents that never met, adopted Superman, and thus never raised him. Who knows whatever happens to him, or even if Krypton ever exploded. But, they seem to have the perfect life. And then tragedy befalls their natural son. So, and then thus, befalls their grandson and their daughter-in-law as well. And they have to become the super people, the super grandparents, to save the day. That's just one different perspective way of looking at it that enriches the story as well. But again, I give this a strong shock of thumbs up. It is rather heartfelt. Did bring some tears to my eyes watching the story. Anytime that you're talking about, family abuse, especially upon a woman and a small child, it's hard not to have your heartstrings, pulled at in that manner. And, Kevin Costner and Diane Lane, they definitely have a chemistry. I'm happy to have seen them return in a richer role than maybe what they had only gotten in Superman, Man of Steel. So, and, like I said, kind of sort of playing the same characters in a way. Very, very interesting. All right, well, I'll go ahead and leave it at that. So definitely go ahead and check it out over at the theater at Consolidated or wherever it's playing near you. I'm sure within the next 2 months it'll find its way for VOD, for rental at Redbox, and you know, on the streaming services as well. You know, eventually making it to probably Netflix. You know, this will be a nice staple, good family, good family movie. Maybe not so much for smaller kids, but if you and your spouse, your girlfriend want to watch this and kind of see, you know, a mature adult drama, then that is what you're presented with in this movie, and you'll enjoy it very much. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, giving Let Him Go a Shaka thumbs up. Go ahead and check it out wherever, however you can. And again, mahalo and aloha.